right, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like I'm in charge this evening. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. If I could have a motion. Go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you. Do you have names?
Yeah, we are missing, we're missing a few tonight. Matthew actually, Matthew emailed me earlier today, 2 sick kids, so he had to go home and help. And then we had a couple of others. Marcus was out of town. Nathan let me know. Haven't heard from Jim, but we have a quorum. Who made the motion second? That's what you were asking.
Yeah, I said.
Thank you.
Fine.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got our minutes from the last meeting. Basically, we just continued to discuss locations, and I'm assuming everyone got the email.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
No,
you were
you're
done.
fine,
My
you're
fault. I
fine.
thought you were finished.
Second.
You got Joe and Aaron.
Yep, I got it. I got it. You just keep going. Don't worry about me.
Alrighty, okay, so it looks like we have our usual guest from our American Legion post, which I'm proud to say I just joined. I highly recommend everybody go to a meeting, check it out. They're very welcoming, great. So my little plug there for the evening. But we have Buford Ford and Rex Ice here. And it looks like we also have some people from UCO's Vista. That's their the newspaper in the back, which I actually also used to write for when I was attending there. So, so that looks like all our guests for the evening. So it looks like we're going to continue our discussion for locations. And I did not bring, oh, no, here it is, the copy of the tally marks and everything for what everybody completed.
So this was all 17 of you ranked the 11 criteria from 1 to 11. And then those were given the reverse amount of points. So number 1 on your list got 11 points, 2 got 10, so on and so forth. Tallied up, and this is where you guys ended up. So as a group, this is how you decided what's most important.
Alrighty, so basically, I'm assuming we probably ought to start wrapping up our discussion on location. In order to get this wrapped up by the end of December, we really need to kind of.
Yeah, well, I think the reason you guys you chose to do this was to kind of guide you a little bit in some of these locations you've been talking about, to try to weed some of those out based upon what the group feels are priorities. So you just jump right back in and get going.
Yeah, this is going to give us a definite guideline on where to go. So,
Did you have, before you guys get into that, were there any questions on this, how this worked, or how the rankings turned out? Okay, just want to make sure that everyone was good with that.
all right, so, so continuing our discussion from, the meeting 2 weeks ago, how do we want to apply these characteristics to our conversation? Does anybody have any suggestions on where we should start? Are there some we should just automatically, axe off the list? Are there any new places that anybody has suddenly said, oh, wait, what about this? Or
We talked about so many, I'm kind of getting lost.
Exactly.
I'm wondering if there's a
And-
way
Do you want to just start with some places? I can just start zooming in on the map to some of the places that you guys have talked about. Would that
I feel
help?
like we need a map with just dots, so we can
Sort
kind
of,
of
yeah.
remember
Okay.
the ones we've talked about, and then maybe.
How about this? I'll just kind of move you through the city a little bit.
is there a way to drop like pins on that?
Probably. Let me make sure. We need to make sure that we have roads on there. There we go. Look at that. That's a great start.
I mean, I almost think, based on the number 1 criteria, that we could just almost draw a bullseye around downtown and just focus on that area, because
Right.
assuming
Well-
that accessibility and visibility that's kind of what we were getting at, was it needs to be close to downtown.
But
Or am I-
downtown actually ranked pretty low on our list.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, specific to downtown, you have one specific to
I
that.
got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a disconnect then.
So for, as far as accessibility and visibility, do we need to define kind of what we're?
Yeah, those are really two different things.
Yeah, I
Or
think.
could be construed as two different things.
I agree. I think when you guys were discussing it, putting the list together last time, I think it was from the aspect of it's something that people will be able to see and find easily and get to easily. I think maybe that's why you chose the words that you did. That's what I took from the conversation and watching it back.
When I saw parking on there, I assumed that accessibility to mean ability to park.
Yeah, I don't think it's like ADA accessibility. That's going to be a requirement no matter what you do. You bet.
And I've got six locations that basically we were talking about last time. Out by the 66 ballpark, by Hafer Park at the convention, the old convention visitors bureau, the new tennis courts north of Graceline and the new Triangle area, the Pecan Grove by Union Bank, and then the medians on Chowdy.
Those were from the first meeting. I think, yeah, from the first meeting.
Yeah, those are,
Jason had a proposal for in Hafer Park.
Yeah, I think we kind of nixed that one pretty quickly.
It was a little, accessibility and visibility maybe was a little bit difficult. Trying to think of some other locations. We talked about just downtown in general. If we were to go on property that was not city owned. I do have one there was one that was mentioned the first time that we went through that I kind of want to bring back up for you guys. This is not me trying to push something towards you, but just as I tally these up and tried to think about, well, city-owned property ranked pretty high. So again, I wanted to look at that. And I know, Anita, you asked some specific questions about the future tennis center, and we can certainly talk about that. One property that was brought up that you guys didn't talk about very long, but actually meets most of these, if it's something that you want to put in your list to consider, is Bickham Rudkin Park. And everybody, you guys familiar with that park? Next to the dog park, yeah. Not the dog park, but so that's a 50-acre park right here off of 33rd and Boulevard. The reason that I wanted to bring it up is as you're going down your list, it's a visible and accessible location. There's already existing parking. Let me zoom in a little further. So the dog park is right here. You're talking about the dog park. Bickham Rudkin is actually this park that runs all the way back to Smiling Hill, and it includes this lake as well. City-owned property, proximity to other activities. You can't argue that there's not activity there all the time.
There's also a playground.
There's a playground. There's a separate park that abuts it back here, Whispering Heights Park. Right here. Yes, right here. So it's actually two parks that have combined into one. Safety, tree impact would be, room for amenities, some of the amenities are already there.
Now, does this go all the way down to Smiling Hill?
Yes, it does.
So it includes all the trails?
Includes all of it. Yeah. So I bring it up, and I didn't want to bring up something like this, but I did talk to our parks director as well. And he said that's a park that's not slated for a lot of other development because it's a more natural park. But they'd be very open to the idea if you guys chose to go that direction. Again, I'm not trying to guide you that way. I just wanted to bring that property back up because it was mentioned in the first meeting. There wasn't a lot of discussion on it, but once this list kind of took shape, that's one that did pop up. So I'll just throw that out there. I took the time to go out and walk it today just to kind of see what's there and what's not. And depending on the concept that you would pursue, it could potentially work.
Did you point out where it's not doing
Yes. Where what might be.
on the Rudkin Park, exactly where it is.
So this is the parking lot for the park right here. The park itself is all of these trails that run back here, this lake, and the trails come back here, and then we have an arboretum back here as well. And so it goes all the way to Smiling Hill Boulevard. So it's basically all of this. It's a very natural park. Yeah, it runs that whole area back there. Most of all this is natural. It is cleared along the trails. It's cleared up in this area. It's got a large pavilion that actually was a house at one time. So it's a lot different than our other pavilions. It is open. It was a house that was converted into a pavilion. So it was about a 3,500-ish, 4,000 square foot home
kept the roof and took out all the walls.
Yes, but it's still got a fireplace. It's a lot different. It's a little more cozy.
Are there restrooms?
There are plans to put a restroom. Currently, they're right here. There's a porta potty right there. There's a porta potty right here. But yes, when in talking to the parks director today, there are plans to add restroom facilities there. And so he was very open to the idea of something there potentially.
I know y'all may rent that for birthday party.
Yeah, you can rent it just like any other pavilion.
There's also restrooms down there by the tennis court too.
Okay, are there restrooms at this park?
Like porta
Porta-potties.
Which is what you have now.
Yes, they are going to be, but at that pavilion, there are plans to add a restroom facility from the park's tax fund.
So, in that so all the trees there that are south of the lake,
South of the lake, these right here.
so that's all fixed in the lake.
Yeah, this is all fairly natural here. That would be a little bit secluded potentially. When I went out there today, where I saw opportunities, potentially up around in the pavilion area and then on the trail, that you mow along the trail. So, you know, if you wanted one big area, maybe this isn't the place for one big giant memorial. But if you wanted something different, where maybe it's a walking deal or I don't know, then it could be feasible.
You also have two parking areas, that one up there to the north, and then down there by the tennis court.
Yes.
That little semicircle right there.
Yes, you have parking back here as well.
Park at
Parking there.
Martell's too.
Yeah, and yes, and quite honestly, a lot of people that use the dog park over here because it's easy to get in and out, and there's always plenty of parking.
Which part is the dog park?
That's this worn out area right here.
Okay.
It's about 5 acres of the park.
33rd Boulevard.
Smiling Hills Road and Boulevard.
Yeah, 33rd and Boulevard is this location.
I'm wondering if, for maybe expediency, we could develop a list of possible locations, similar to the way we developed this list of characteristics, email it out and let each of the committee members rank their choice of lists of locations and narrow it down that way.
I think you certainly could. I think you have time tonight to discuss what those locations should be based
Right.
upon the work that you've done already. Yeah.
I thought about that as well. And what I'm concerned about is, everybody has their favorites here. The sites might get voted on based on your favorite. So
Well, and your criteria now, based on what you decide as a group, should
it
be
needs to be based on.
this order.
Yeah.
But so there's enough, I mean, just if we were to think about this park, there's enough space there that you could build a very nice memorial, have it integrated into the walking trail system, so instead of one location, you travel from point
Spot
to
to spot.
point to point. You'd have minimal tree impact that way.
You wouldn't have any.
Well, I mean, may have to take down a tree to put a sculpture in, but you'd have very minimal
Yeah.
tree impact, as you would if, let's say we want to make a 200 square foot monument, boom. So,
One other thing that's also nice about this location, I'm not telling you this to sell you, I'm just making sure you're informed since I was out there today. The trail does open up to the lake in this area, and then it is open all through here as well.
they don't allow fishing in that lake.
They do.
Yes, they do.
It's actually encouraged.
Okay.
Yes.
But there's very few fish in that lake.
It's a farm pond, but it's a dog.
There's
Casey, what's the gap footage wise, and that's probably a tough question to ask, but between the trail and the lake kind of shore there, what's that?
So how wide is that
Yeah, how
there?
close is that trail to the, I mean, like 10 feet, 30 feet?
Oh, no, it's probably closer to 20 to 30.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
just
That's
a
probably a
space there.
10-foot path, isn't it?
It's not a 10-foot, probably 6 to 8 feet wide, the path.
So there's some distance up between
So
the
it's
lake.
3 pathways, basically.
Yeah, it's 20 to 30 feet.
Does it flood
It's
ever?
really
Is that a
nice.
flood? Does it
I
mean if
walked
we ever
there
had
for
issues? Does
years.
anybody know?
Well, no, and I don't think it's not like a nice smooth, it's set up from the
Yeah.
water a little bit. So if you had something, you wouldn't be putting it right on the water. No,
Yeah.
the water's usually not coming up into this area.
No, the water didn't come up in there.
You probably have, and so you can see now that I'm zoomed in all along the trail here, you have about 8 to 10 feet on the sides of the trail that's mowed regularly, mowed down through there. So just some food for thought.
To just piggyback on what Brad was saying a while ago, if we're talking about all these other monuments that we want to, or statues that are going to be removed from other places, it looks to me like that would be a great way to move it along, and then have a Veterans Central Memorial, maybe not along the trail as much as up at the front, so that it's accessible and visible and all of that. Is that what you were saying, Brad?
Kind of, I just think that that way you could put Lady Liberty somewhere there since it's being moved.
Well, but again, that is a piece of it, but that also ranked lowest on your list, so you don't need to make that a priority in your decisions either, based on what you've said. It can be something additional. So.
But this place, I mean, just.
It could work,
This place
yeah.
has more land than the other places that we've really looked at. More
There's
available
5
space.
acres on 15th Street over by the tennis court, don't you, that you own?
Yes, do you want to look at that now? Do you guys want to continue talking about this, or do you want to move to some other locations?
Well, let's write this location
Okay.
down and go talk about the 15th Street.
Bet. Okay. So this area here is what we're talking about. The new tennis center is going to be constructed in this area. It's going to mainly fill here, back to here. There's currently not anything that's planned in this area yet. So that could be a potential location.
So when I was thinking about this property, I was thinking about the size, and you know, our mandate is something exceptional, different than all the little ones that we have around town, and something worthy of the people who have served and of Edmond, on the scale of Edmond, whatever that happens to be. So I was thinking about this. I was thinking about the location. I was thinking about, would we want to develop a park that is Veterans Park and put in it all the things that a park would have, as well as the memorial, so that you're going to have a tennis center next door, you're going to have ample parking for overflow, so you could build a small amount of parking that would be park parking. But if you were having an event there, you could utilize that other parking space. You're going to have traffic coming into the tennis center for visibility. You've got 15th Street traffic for visibility. You could put in a playground. You could put in other things that people coming to the memorial might utilize. Picnic tables, pavilion, restrooms. You've got enough land to do that, and you've got enough land to make something really nice. Whatever we decide that's going to look like at the time. That was my thought on that piece. There's a lot of other pieces I think we can, if we're in agreement that we want this to be something grand, there's a lot of pieces we can rule out because of space. There's just not enough room. I like the Hafer Park place, but that's not big enough, in my opinion. The CVB space is not big enough to do what I think the city wants us to do.
Okay.
Could the park on 33rd be renamed?
Probably not.
Probably not.
One of the gentlemen was a veteran. Rudkin Bickham was a huge proponent of parks in the community. Did a lot of work for that. Just did a lot in the community. And then Rudkin was a mayor, was an attorney, long time school board president. So
You couldn't leave their names in the title and put veteran Rudkin Bickham Park?
Potentially, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think there would be a desire to take their names off of something, but I think
Or
it
rename
could,
the pavilion after them, the Rudkin, pavilion at Veterans Park or whatever.
the pavilion as it sits now actually talks about the history of the land, the Fisher family. So there is something there speaking to that. So you'd have to navigate through some of that potentially, but I don't think any of that would be unnavigable, if that's the right word.
This site is 5 acres and the Rudkin Park is 50 acres.
The whole park
Yeah, the
is,
whole
yes. Yes. So I think kind of what Anita's talking about here is kind of one large thing. At Bickham Rudkin, you'd have to look at maybe a different concept where it's going to be spread out throughout the park to make it work.
And I think I still think Hafer Park is not a bad idea if you could have the CVB building some trail space along the creek, and then you could acquire that piece on 15th Street. You could do kind of the same concept of having a trail that people would walk to get to a bigger kind of something that would be in that land on 15th, but the city doesn't own that land, so.
Correct.
Well, let's look at that piece out there on Route 66 that we own.
Okay.
Because that's got enough space for us to spread out. We've got visibility. And the city of Edmond's moving towards the east. I think that's an ideal location.
So what we're talking about is this area up here.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the softball complex down here. We've got potential to expand and build more softball up here. Currently, there's not a plan for this area. I will say this, and I'm not saying this to deter anybody, when I brought up to staff that we were discussing this, the one negative thing that was brought up is there are a lot of rattlesnakes out there. Because this is a rocky bluff right here. If you've been out that way and you kind of look back, I had not even thought about that, but they said, it's an open, bluffy area.
There's our fundraiser. We have a rattlesnake.
There you go.
I'm just bringing it up that was brought up to me.
Out there, they're going to run off the rattlesnakes. So
That there are rattlesnakes because this area here is essentially, it's a bluff with rocks. I don't know if you can really see that.
Yeah, there's probably 50 to 75 foot.
It's a pretty good elevation change. If you're down on Route 66 looking back that direction, it sits up quite a bit.
yeah, so it's nice.
And y'all own that whole quarter section?
Not the whole quarter section, no. It just kind of goes, the property goes roughly kind of here. I don't know if it's up here or if it's, I think it's up here.
That's what I was saying. So y'all own that box, basically?
Yes. Now this area down here, and the reason that we built ball fields there, this is actually floodplain, so we couldn't build anything else in that area, but we could use.
How much room would that give us? How many, like acreage, or do you have a clue?
I don't know the acreage amount, but I mean, basically this is a big flat space through here.
Okay.
And this is a pretty large home that's coming down.
Looking at the number 4 on the list, though, proximity is, I think, one of the things we mentioned on that site last time we talked about it.
Well, just take the top 3 things off the list. We haven't even discussed the list tonight. What our priorities are. Are we going to take them top 3 or the top 4?
I don't know that we'll find a site that'll meet all those, but I mean.
But I think your question is, where's the cutoff point for priorities based upon your voting? I see what you're saying.
I've already cut it off.
I'd probably say top 5.
I took the top 3.
Well, but if we can find a site that meets the top 10 or 12, then I think that's, something to consider.
I hate to say it, but I don't think anybody's going to go out that far. I mean, I really, unless they have like a dedicated reason, like the people that are playing softball. I mean, I just.
So this is based.
Well, I oppose that idea because the city of Edmond is growing out that way. You've got Route 66. Everybody from foreign countries comes here and travels Route 66, so you've got extra visitors. I know it's being built for the city of Edmond, which is great, but you want more visitors too. And then you've got all
Someone may confirm this for me, but if I'm correct, I think we were actually hearing on Monday night to see the council about commercial development that direction, and we've been cautious to allow that.
Well, that was a few miles over. There is
back
stuff.
over at Air Depot.
There's stuff that's zoned. They were wanting to rezone this specific
But the
area.
section on the other side of the road is already
This is
commercial.
already zoned commercial.
Okay.
There is some.
So it's more of a singular piece than actually.
That was, they were asking to change the zoning on, and that's why that was the whole contention. If it was already zoned that way.
Okay.
Then there
I was just trying to see if there's options in, because if we are, I mean, residentially, we're right, and then we've got the north offices up there, but that stretch of road right now has been pretty underdeveloped in the sense right off of 66, other than the lake. But I was just curious what that was about. 'Cause I know they had a vote on it Monday night.
The biggest issue out there, and how the reason it's changed is there are utilities to areas that there have never been utilities before, but there are still some areas where that's several years away.
Yep.
So what's the situation on the utilities on that Sonic property?
That's not so much, that's not an issue for this type of development. I'm talking about for commercial development, mainly sewer. Sewer and water are the issue. They all have access to electric, but it's where does your waste go, and is it through aerobic or anaerobic? And that's a big deal commercial wise. We want people on city sewer before they'll allow large
But
scale.
that house that was there, was that a septic system, or was it tied into the?
Oh, it would have had to been septic, yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know about the neighborhood across the street. I didn't know if they were.
I would assume,
They're all septic.
I would assume almost all that's large lot, that's gonna be septic out there.
How far north of 66 is that property?
Less than a quarter mile.
About a quarter mile?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
66 starts to turn this way. This
You
is
can
all
see it from
treed.
Pops.
This is all treed here, so you kind of get in a little bit of a tree tunnel going through here. You can definitely see it from here. Let me back out a little bit, and you can kind of get a feeling for a full mile.
But you still need a reason to turn north to go
Yeah.
see the memorial.
Yeah, so here's-
You don't know it's there.
Yeah, this is a full mile, so it's roughly a quarter of a mile.
Casey, what's that zoned? Would we get pushback from those houses
It's
across?
park.
the
It's park.
It's park.
Yeah, it's,
So the people who have houses across the street from it,
no. I mean, it's already a park.
They would have less impact than the ball field, I would think. You wouldn't have the big
Oh, yeah.
lights.
right?
Yeah.
So this would be the second property we're going to put on our list?
Third.
Do the third one.
one.
Oh, yeah.
What else would you like to look at? We talked about Hafer Park quite a bit on and off. Is there anything there that you still want to consider based upon what you said here?
On the Hafer Park site, you had talked about we're tearing down the old office building there, right?
Yes.
But we were kind of talking about maybe running it kind of all the way through, maybe that southern edge of it or something like that. Am I hearing that right?
I think what Anita was saying, her thought was you could have something here and then going along here and then back through and then connecting up. But we don't own all the property. But we don't own all that property.
Oh, but so we got, oh, that's right.
Yeah, that piece on,
We own everything on this side of the creek. Down here, we own something here, and then it goes back a little bit, but this is our electric substation. We're not gonna have to go over here.
is it right that that piece on 15th is in Tennessee? I was told that it was.
Down here,
The one that's for sale on 15th next to the substation?
I don't know.
The mature substation.
I don't know, we'd have to pull up maps.
Are they still trying to put apartments there on that one plot of land on Ryan?
No.
He's gonna overlook.
That's back in here. That plan was to expand out the shopping center. That is currently not available. It's up to you guys to decide. Is that something that still needs to be considered? Yeah, during summer, there's days and all. Yeah, well. We're gonna have parking.
No, there is a bridge there, but it's tough parking. I was just trying to find a parking spot. It's about violating the parking there. You use that parking on the curb, or like that time, and then walk.
Oh, the duplexes. You are here, talking about here, the space that takes lots of space to discuss. You're using that for Kim will turn Newfoundland Boulevard. Over here. Campbell, where to go? Edmond, there. This is the Hope Center. Yeah. If I remember correctly, this house and all that is mentioned in the
That's a lot of customers, so we can actually do I think with the SBC, the sports performance center being built there, I mean, there's going to be activity around that, of course, for athletic events. Our soccer stadium just put in their new lights there, so we're committed to that area in the sense of what's there right now, long-term. And so and I wasn't here, of course, for last week, so I may be repeating some things, but you need, if you go down there, right, Ayers now is closed off, and it will never open again. So Ayers to the east there of Chowning, you're only going to be able to park in that parking lot right there, but yeah, you can't, it's not a through street anymore. So basically, that area in the south there will probably be, at some point, something will be developed there, it'll be kind of like a turnaround or a piece there, but there won't be traffic going to that at all. So, and I hate that. Yeah. So I'm still getting used to it, trying to drive across campus at night to teach. Like, oh, I've got to go all the way around.
Yeah.
But the other than that, there's no. We actually run a building hiatus by the Regents now. Once we finish our next three. So once the STEM building's finished, so we're not going to be building anything immediately, but that'd be a conversation we'd have to have about the long-term planning. But we don't want to build that way right now. We want to rebuild kind of across where, if you see the football stadium and stuff, we're building there. We're definitely going to still have students coming back and forth there, but it's not heavy traffic because Dillon Park is there, there's some fraternity stories there, but it's not a heavy student traffic area, other than vehicles. But it will get busier because now you can't go through Ayers. You've got to go around down the university. So I will say, traffic and visibility, but then also safety becomes an issue.
It's tough enough on a Friday night when games be played there just to get across the county.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't have that in school anymore, to worry about that. But Saturday, you don't have football games and stuff too. So, but yeah, there'll definitely be more traffic there because Ayers are not there. The goal is to basically create more of a residential pathway for that entire north side. And so if you go on Ayers now, I mean, I don't know that you're basically going through 3 or 4 crosswalks, 2 or 3 stop signs. And so now that we've pushed a lot of stuff there, and our cafeteria is now going to be south of the Field House. So it's moving about 200 yards north. Because of that continual walkway the students having to do, we don't want traffic going through there. So if you're familiar with like Norman's North and South Oval, it's basically think about that because I used to have traffic across that. Now you don't have that anymore.
I just know I got lost back there.
So basically, you're going to now be going through University Drive to Chowning to get to the east and west side, or go to 2nd Street.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people avoid campus, you know, because of traffic and all of that. And so I don't know that that's going to draw people to that area because of the traffic. And
Like I say, it would be friendly for kids to go on a field trip.
No.
Okay, does. Wait, we gotta wait 5 minutes for the traffic to slow down before we can cross the median.
Well, if there's that much, you know, traffic on there, it's not really safe.
There will
for
be
kids.
when they close,
Yeah.
when the Ayers is, yeah.
So we're cool with taking that one off the list? Okay, the cemetery would be the next one to bring up then.
That's small.
I think it's too small
Yeah.
as well. And a little weird to be right by the cemetery.
Yeah.
So the current cemetery is here. There's a memorial that's there. We've purchased this big triangle here. It's a pretty good size, and so we'd be talking about this triangle piece if we wanted
Used to be the side of the Edmond Drive-In.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was closer down to the cemetery. wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it's where that other
Yeah.
little stub, that first stub out you see there on the left. But I just wonder about the trains being that close.
Well, they're about to do the
Quiet zone.
quiet zone.
They still have
You won't hear the horns
I
anymore.
live
Have a train going through.
You'll still hear the trains if you're that close. You just won't hear the horns.
It's not that bad. Like I said, when we talked about, I mean, this was my suggestion, so I'm a little sweet on it, not gonna lie. And it's, I mean, I walk over there. Yes, I walk in somewhere, it's probably creepy on it. But, I walk over there probably every other day. And I take the path that is all the way up. And the corner, if you'll remember, the corner up there at the top was my original suggestion, but we didn't.
Yes, we don't know that.
I know.
Sorry, she said that. I wasn't pointing out. I was just confirming what she said.
How big is that piece?
That triangle, this piece down here, or this piece? The one that we don't own, the one that we do own?
The one we do own?
I could see how big I could look up how big the total piece is. I'd have to ask to see
How
what that
much?
northern tip is. They've been master planning that area out, so I could find out, but I don't know right now.
But the cemetery is gonna expand north a little bit.
Yes,
correct?
that's why we purchased. Yes, because
I didn't know if they planned to originally use the whole thing or just have it there for a buffer.
it's being planned out differently because the way that people are now being interred, those changes, or those trends are changing quickly. And so it's actually going to be set up in sections for different types of burials, as opposed to what we have now, which is pretty standard. Yeah. But I think what I was told is this would be the last piece that would ever be developed, so that's why it could be an option. It wouldn't have to be developed potentially. So.
I mean,
My only concern with that is parking. You know, I mean, because I've traveled Broadway a lot, live up off Sword of Mill. It's like parking. There's nothing.
I think a lot of that comes
You
down to
if
how
you
it's planned.
have to build
Want
it
some
on site.
other activities in that area, like a playground or something.
Mitch
It's kind
Park
of
is-
creepy to go to the cemetery
Yeah.
and play on a playground or have a picnic.
Yeah, I don't think you'd put a playground there. Probably not.
I mean, there is one across the street in Timber Ridge.
I was gonna say there is one.
That's,
But that is a private park,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, private.
Oh, it is?
Our HOA is pretty rabid about keeping
Oh,
us
yeah,
non.
I know they do. They don't like people driving through your neighborhood.
And then that just encourages
So we want to do.
vandalism for the cemetery if you put that there. Not that everybody's going there for that intent, but
Did we talk about Mitch Park?
My
We've
original
not talked about
suggestion
Mitch
was
Park.
Such a
the
wide open
cemetery.
place, there's a lot of activity out there.
We can certainly talk about Mitch Park. Well, I think you guys need to decide whether you want to keep this area or eliminate this area.
eliminate.
Eliminate.
I mean, so we're dead set that it has to be city-owned property then.
You guys as a group put that as your number 3 criteria. You need to discuss
That's a
that.
big chunk of money.
Yeah, I think if we're planning on a big memorial, like, you know, that you guys were talking about, pretty big with everything there, we should go with city property, because otherwise that's, you know, a chunk of change.
$200,000 of the budget gone just to buy it. Especially if
Easily.
somebody knows the city wants it.
Easily, yeah.
Well, I
Price
just want to
goes
make
up
sure
by-
that nobody has closed their mind off to grant writing,
No,
asking for
I don't have that off
donations,
those options,
asking
but
for, you know, these people to be somewhat lenient on their sales.
not if they know the city wants it.
No.
I mean,
I would
we,
just rather our grant writing and fundraising go to the actual memorial, not just the piece of land, personally.
I mean, I'm open to all options, I just know that if people think the city wants the piece of land, well, guess what? I just got a new appraisal, my price is now 25% higher.
Yeah.
Not totally.
That's the reason
It's not
Walt
totally
Disney-
inaccurate.
That's the reason Walt Disney bought everything in Orlando under dummy companies. 67 different dummy companies bought land.
I don't think I'm opposed to looking at it, but it'd have to be I think for that to be, it's gotta be the place, like, this is our dream. Like, for that to
Yeah.
come into play, it's gotta be like, this is a clear, this is really what we want. It's gonna be visible, it's gonna be accessible. So, to me, you mentioned like the house there, the neighborhood across where you live, they're pretty protective of that park. I can just imagine people going to that memorial and then wanting to hop over to the park with their kids. You know what I mean? And I don't want that to be a point of contention there, right? So I think I would support a purchase if it was like, this is the spot and this is what we want to have. I don't think this would, we're not going to go to bat, I think, for this one, it sounds like, right? But if it's a place that's like, yes, let's do it, and this is going to be the best one, I don't think we're all opposed to that, but this one doesn't seem like it's the one to make that commitment to. I don't know, unless it sounds pretty.
And that one property there, Covell and Boulevard, will be pricey since Covell is now a major east-west.
Yeah, and it's a corner spot too. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I'm
I
saying,
agree.
it'll be even more pricey than just a piece of land.
And the landowner that owns this also owns this other side as well.
Yeah, and both of those are both of them nice.
Oh, they're great located. Right there by the high school.
Anything else on this?
Let's look at Mitch Park.
So Mitch Park, currently, we have our Mac Center, which is the north end here, Senior Center's the south end, Mitch Park YMCA, along with the competition pool. Quite a bit of activity out here. You've got the ball fields as well. Back here, you've got disc golf course, amphitheater here. This is a big open area that gets used a lot for different things.
That's what I was gonna ask, what is that area used for?
A lot of sporting events. We held the National Lineman's Rodeo there a few years ago. We put a bunch of power poles on the ground.
Okay.
I will say there's currently some talk of defining this with some actual rectangle fields because there's such a demand for those and we don't have enough. So I would say this area is probably it's a big open area, but it's probably going to get gobbled up formally. We currently have in this park, we do have, as we talked about at one of our earlier meetings, right here in this area is the Purple Heart Memorial. Zoom in a little farther. So as you come in, we've got the Purple Heart Memorial. It's in this area. And then we also, this is probably a great example. Some of you may know it's there, many of you may not know, but a great example of accessibility and visibility. We have an Edmond-specific Oklahoma City bombing memorial in the park that 90+% of the people in Edmond have no idea even exists. And it's a beautiful memorial. Has anybody been, Anita, you've been to it? It really is a nice memorial. It is tucked in back here off of the trails, back in the trees.
And we have a survivor tree.
Yeah, we have
a seedling from the one at the memorial.
So we do have one memorial in this park already. Again, 90+% of the people in Edmond have no idea it even exists. So I only use that just as an example of you guys are probably on the right track when you're talking about accessibility and visibility being important, because that's a great memorial and nobody knows it's there.
And they probably would not allow a big parking lot to be planted in that section or that area, would they?
Where at? Where are you talking about?
Well, like I say, if you wanted to incorporate the bombing memorial and put ours next close to it,
yeah,
they probably would not let you gobble up some land for
You'd have to build a road to get there.
Right.
Yeah, these are the only roads, and then you do have a road. This is a skate park. I didn't mention that. The skate park is back here as well. And so and then the park runs all the way over here. Basically surrounds. This is all owned by the schools. The rest of this is all. This is an electric substation right here.
What's the pieces over there off of Kelly, north of the school? That
Here?
all of that.
This is
section?
part of Mitch Park as well. Yes.
Is
So
that
just walking trails?
Is that fairly flat in there? 'Cause
I
know some of it's
honestly have
pretty-
not spent much time back there. I don't skateboard and I don't live in the area to use the trail, so I'm not 100% sure.
It's not very flat.
It's not.
There's quite a bit of undulation back in this area, and that's why it's all pretty natural and used for trails mainly.
Because that's another thing to think about is as we start designing, of course, it depends on what we design, but cost of moving the dirt and getting it level and all of that adds to the expense. If you can find a flat piece, it's a lot cheaper.
So all that being said, if you're considering Mitch, you kind of naturally look to where the roads and the parking are, and it's pretty crowded currently. We get a basketball court here. You've got a little bit of space up in this area. We do the ice rink here during the holidays, and we are going to have a walk-through Christmas light display that's going to be back on these trails.
Now, is there anything there in that land south of the amphitheater? That little bump out, that right there?
This disc golf course, there's a disc golf hole right in here.
But is there anything in that wooded area?
This, no.
Trees.
Trees.
I don't know I don't know the topography, how flat it is or anything. Well, we got started a few minutes late, so you got 10.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just want to let them know.
You got 10 minutes left for this discussion. There's the area Brad's talking about. I don't know much about it.
In my opinion, while Mitchburg is great, I think it is already pretty developed, so I'm not sure there's really a good spot for us there.
Especially if you want to do something fairly big. Yeah, that'd be really good stuff.
Are there any other bigger pieces that we're forgetting?
As far as like parks or anything like that, or
Undeveloped land.
Undeveloped land.
You're starting to learn the issue that we have. Well, yeah, sure. Mr. Salyer has a whole 80 acres right there.
Who's that?
Mr. Salyer, who lives in this house.
Oh, no, city owned.
What are the coordinates on that?
This is Cobell Kelly.
Oh.
This is kind of the last big piece of land that at some point will really get developed.
Yeah, I understand he's turned down $2 million.
I bet he gets calls every day for his land.
Wow.
Yeah, since this is a very valuable property. So, no, not city owned. Over here, you've got these are the soccer fields.
Yeah.
Not a lot of open space. It's mainly soccer fields. There's some open space over here that we don't own.
That's been for sale.
That actually went through recently, I believe, for some sort of development. Whether or not that happens, you never know. There are some other parks that maybe would be a little bit bigger, but they're kind of tucked away in neighborhoods or areas where they're not going to be as visible.
Now, the old circus winter grounds there, just south of the soccer field, right where your cursor is.
Right here, still owned by the same family. They live in Florida. And I think a fair amount, there's a creek that runs through here. A fair amount of this is floodplain. Yeah. But obviously, they've probably had lots of offers too, I would guess. But we do have the old Barnett Fields here. This one is still a field. We put the splash pad there. Splash Pad Veterans Memorial. I don't know how that would work. This is an alien themed splash pad. Chitwood Park is right over here across the street.
Down by the rodeo grounds, is there any space?
Up here, we don't own anything. That's all owned by the schools.
Edmond schools?
Yeah, this is their bus barn. Their bus barn here, and then they own this house. I think eventually they want to create another way to get out through there. We own this. This is drainage. It's got a nice little trail that goes around it, but
Is that on Fred's?
yes, this is off of Fretz and Hurd. This is where we're doing all that drainage work downtown. That's where the water goes.
Oh.
We're putting the bigger pipes in to get more water over there so that we get it out of downtown. It's kind of nice back in there, but you wouldn't know it was there unless you were going there.
Is it gonna stay there?
Oh, yes, yeah.
You gonna put fish in there?
No, it's not like that type of detention. It's, you get water out of there and then it drains away, sort of detention.
So frankly, with our last couple minutes, I might be against the grain, but I'd rather narrow our list than add more. I felt like when we were talking about 66 ballpark, it seemed like most of the group was okay with getting rid of that. Is that accurate? Is there reading that right? So we could cut that from our list. And then the spot inside Hafer Park, do we, where Shakespeare in the Park used to be, do we want to cut that from the list? Well, it was mentioned again tonight, so I just.
That was this area here.
So what I've got on our list now would be the tennis courts near the dog park and Mitch Park, because that.
Bickham Run.
Yeah, I think of dog park,
15th
because that's
Street
what I know.
Tennis and I have 3.
I had
So-
3. Yeah, that's
I think you
3.
guys had said to keep 66 Park.
Right,
Yeah.
56.
Yeah. 15th and Bickham
15th and the 33rd dog park.
Yeah.
So the 3 that you guys said you want to keep on the list, Bickham Rudkin Park, the future side of the tennis center, and then the upper part of Edmond 66 Park. Those are the ones that as you were going through this.
So shall we rank them 1, 2, and 3 like we?
It's the pleasure of the committee how you would like to move forward to.
Okay, does anybody want to go ahead and vote on now, or would you rather do the email system again?
Or does anybody want to take the time to visit these 3 sites so everybody has an idea of what is
Do
there?
an email, I think, and then it's also.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
three-
see, that way you can visit them at your leisure.
Yeah, 3 of our members, you said you have 3, right?
Yes, they're actually 4 gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with 4 gone.
I think Malcolm would definitely.
I would love to go look at, because I'm not familiar with the tennis site as well. And so, I mean, I drove by it, but now that it's maybe a finalist, I'd like
Do
to
you
go
have
give it.
the drawing you sent me?
I don't have it with me now. And I need to just double check and make sure as it's being developed out now, there's no plans for it. I need to make sure that it's not earmarked for something else. I've not had that conversation.
Of those 3 sites, though, one thing I would mention is the Red Bickham has already got parking and some of the infrastructure is already there. So we would save that money, or we wouldn't, on the others would have to go.
Maybe
Something to think.
maybe when you email these out, just write a little blurb.
Yeah, I can
And
kind
maybe
of.
put the size.
Sure.
Just anything you can think of, just a short little blurb
Yeah, are
on
they-
each one.
Are there city services already available at the site, maybe, if you can find that out?
Utilities.
I know there will be at Rudkin, we know there will be at the West Side Tennis Center. And I'm sure, yeah, we know there's power out at Route 66.
Right.
But just the things that would kind of, because
That will cost it.
You bet. You bet.
budgetary items.
What I will do is I'll send out as much information on those 3 sites that I can gather. You guys will probably want to take the full 2 weeks. So what we would do then for your next agenda is it's going to say, and let me back up. If you want to pick multiple sites, there's no rule that says you have to pick one. You can pick multiple. I'm not saying you should. I'm just, ultimately, at the end of this, you're gonna give your recommendation to council. So you kind of decide how you go from
May I
there.
recommend that when we reply back to you, everybody list, okay, site A, and if that's your top 3.
So you'd like to
why
rank
that
them?
one is my precedent over the other 2.
Yeah.
That way, at the end, when we can kind of see, well, yeah, this has got these things going for it, this one's got these things going
So
for
if
it.
one clearly stands out over,
Yeah.
if you guys want to do the ranking, like if you felt like that worked, we can do that. Or if you just want to talk it out in the meeting, you can certainly do that as well. It's your task force.
I
For
think.
clarification, Casey, on the tennis center property,
Yes, sir.
what we're talking about is the southeast 5 acres?
Yes,
Where the residence, swimming pool and barn were?
Yes, there's nothing there now. It's just basically trees.
Yeah, that's where all the cedar trees are,
Oh,
right next to the apartments.
Yes, right next to the
Yeah.
apartment complex.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So I can send that to you. Now, as far as voting on an actual site, there's nothing that says that you have to do that and vote on it to move on. If you guys verbally agree on it, you can move on and start talking that, and you can make one big vote at the end as far as what you want to recommend to council. You don't necessarily have to do each one. It's how you want to handle it.
Have people actually seen rattlesnakes out there, or is that a wives' tale?
No, they were serious when they told me that there's rattlesnakes out there. And that was park staff that, I don't think they wanted to just.
Well, you could have a rattlesnake movement day, ecological day.
Rattlesnake, you can go.
Move them to Guthrie.
Leon Mixer lives right across the road. We can just have him take care of all those.
Leon's a good guy.
Yeah, he's not around anymore.
Leon, who works in the
Yeah.
parks department.
He's talking about Leon, who works for the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking Warren.
All right. Well, I think we had a good discussion, and
Good job leading.
I will, just so you know, I will put that, and then I'll also, as an additional item, I'm going to put beginning discussion of concept in the event that you guys come to a conclusion, so that you have that on the agenda. You can do that next week. Sorry, go ahead, Megan.
No, it's fine. And if you guys want to go ahead, I forgot to email you that address for people to start looking at. I found some really good concepts, and I was going to give you guys the address. Let me find it here. Okay, it's called AmericanMemorialsDirectory.com. If you guys want to go on there, I mean, you can find memorials all over the world. And I just thought it was a really neat resource. It was AmericanMemorialsDirectory.com. So, we'll be back here on October 10th, 7 p.m. We're going to meet in this room again.
No, the next meeting will be back over, that'll be our second and final meeting at Matt Terry Hall, where we were last time.
Okay.
I'll make sure that you're aware of that.
Back
Cop
in the
shop.
police department. Alrighty. Well, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay.